is Friday, August the 6th, and this is Political Palette. This week, there was a deadly school shooting in Barrow County, Georgia. It was a 14-year-old suspect. 4 people were killed, 2 students and 2 teachers. Also, political tensions rise as an upcoming presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump heats up. That and more in today's show. Playzone Media and Political Palette want to say that our hearts go out to the victims and families of those killed and injured during the Appalachia High School shooting in Winter, Georgia. It has brought the tragic issue of gun violence in American schools to the forefront. The shooter, a 14-year-old boy named Colt Gray, carried out the attack with an AR-style rifle, resulting in the deaths of 2 students and 2 teachers, and injuring 9 others. The devastation caused by this event is a painful reminder of the persistent issue of school shootings and the numerous ways they can affect communities. The shooter's father, Colin Gray, was arrested and charged with multiple crimes related to his son's actions. Specifically, Colin faces 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children. Investigations revealed that the father had purchased the AR-style weapon for his son as a Christmas present, despite law enforcement visiting their home months earlier following online threats made by Colt regarding a potential school shooting. At the time of the visit, authorities found no grounds to arrest Colt, and his father assured investigators that the weapons in the house were locked up and his son had no access to them. However, it soon became clear that Colt did indeed have access to the gun. This fact, combined with his history of threats, raises serious concerns about the responsibility of parents when it comes to gun ownership and ensuring their firearms are properly stored. Colin's arrest is part of a broader movement across the country to hold parents accountable for their children's involvement in school shootings, especially when there is evidence of negligence in securing firearms. This legal approach seeks to address one of the major factors that contribute to these tragic incidents. Of course, as this story develops, I'll be updating the information and make sure you have the latest facts on this incident. A stunning leak from inside the Harris campaign. This isn't your average, oops, someone said the wrong thing in an interview moment. This is full-blown internal panic. Just a few days ago, emails from Harris's campaign manager leaked to the press. And let me tell you, they're ugly. We're talking about a no-nonsense, borderline threatening memo sent to every single staffer. The message? Keep your mouth shut or you're gone. That's right. Anyone who talks to the press about the state of the campaign will be fired on the spot. That level of desperation, it's bad, and it's a far cry from the open and transparent administration Harris claimed she led. Let's pause for a moment here, though. As a progressive, I want a leader who is accountable to the people, not one that runs their campaigns like a corporate overlord silencing their employees. What happened to standing for the truth? What happened to transparency? And it gets worse, folks. The fact that this email even had to be written shows us exactly where the campaign is. In free fall. People on the inside are panicking. They don't trust each other. They don't trust the press. And they sure as hell don't trust the voters to hear what's really going on. Why? Because they know Harris's record isn't going to cut it anymore. Not in 2024. Not with all of the broken promises and dodging the tough questions. Her team is trying to sweep the truth under the rug, and they're hoping that the rest of us won't notice. But guess what? We have noticed. And it pains me to even have to say this, especially after having multiple episodes in the show where I said nothing but good and positive things about her campaign. And for full disclosure purposes, I even donated to her campaign during the launch week. But we're going to pivot now to the issue of polling numbers. If you're keeping track, Harris's polling numbers are sitting in a really comfortable position. Almost too comfortable. In fact, a lot of these numbers feel like they've been inflated, pumped up to keep the public calm. But there are whispers, no, rumblings, about the legitimacy of these polls. I hate to say it, but there's a growing belief that some of the polling data coming out in recent weeks might be, well, let's call it fudged. Numbers are being boosted, and there are allegations of bias in the sampling. Now, before anyone jumps down my throat, I get it. Polling is never perfect. And even during Hillary Clinton, she was way up. Trump still won, though, in 2016. But when the polls are consistently coming out with results that seem to benefit Harris, and Harris alone, you have to wonder, are they really representative of the public mood, or are they just trying to save the face before the debates? Look, I've always been skeptical of polling, but this time it feels different. The numbers just don't add up. We've seen this before in campaigns that know they're on shaky ground. You create an illusion of success so the real disaster doesn't show through until it's too late. It's a classic strategy, but that doesn't make it right. No, not at all. And the Harris campaign has lost touch. They've gone from trying to connect with voters to simply manipulating the data and controlling the narrative. Just like that CNN interview that, quite frankly, I feel was pretty bad. It felt like a propaganda Russian media, Russian Times interview where they had the information. And there was even leaks that CNN sent the whole interview and all the clips to the Harris campaign, and then the Harris campaign said what clips they could publish. I mean, come on, that sounds like full-blown communism to me. And I just can't defend that anymore. As a progressive, my principles demand transparency and honesty, and that is in short supply right now. I get it. Harris knows that if she goes on an interview with the press, just like Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks — I love the Young Turks, by the way. I'm a big fan of their show. I'd love to have someone from that show on someday. But, Cenk Uygur, I love him as a host. I think he's tremendous. And he was hit the nail on the head pretty much. If Harris went into an interview, she would pretty much, her poll numbers would even drop even further. And, don't get me wrong. I want nothing more than to see progressive policies succeed. But this is not how we win. We don't win by silencing our own people. We don't win by falsifying data or rigging the narrative. We win by doing what's right, even when it's hard. I have to be real with you all. Harris is facing a mental challenge in the next few days, the presidential debate. This is her make or break moment, and the cracks are showing. We're hearing reports of internal disarray, low morale, and widespread fear among staffers that the truth will come out. To those within the Harris campaign who might be listening, the truth will come out. It always does. Whether you leak it or not, the voters will see through the charade. And that's not something you could cover up with polls or campaign memos. And for those of us watching from the sidelines, it's time to ask ourselves some tough questions. Can we keep supporting a campaign that's more concerned with optics than substance? Can we stand by a candidate whose team is more focused on keeping the press in the dark than bringing real solutions to the table? And as much as it pains me to say it, Harris has got a lot to answer for. And as progressives, we need to hold her accountable, just like we would hold any other candidate accountable. We can't allow our values to be compromised just because we think the alternative is worse. Because what's worse than losing an election is losing the trust of the people we claim to represent. Now, honestly, I never thought I'd say this, but Donald Trump's new policies. Yeah, you heard me right. Now, before anyone freaks out, let's be clear. I'm not about to switch sides overnight and just go start waving a MAGA flag because he's suddenly talking about legalizing weed or leaning more centrist. But seriously, what do we have to lose? As progressives, we've been fighting for things like marijuana legalization for years. And now, here comes Trump. Yes, Trump. Talking about making it happen. Republicans supporting weed? What timeline are we in? It's wild. But you know what? It's good. This is an issue that's been a progressive rallying cry forever. And here's the kicker. If Republicans are finally coming around to it, shouldn't we be happy? Look, I'm not saying we should all jump on the Trump train tomorrow. That's not happening. But when we've been pushing for change and suddenly even the other side is starting to listen, maybe we need to reconsider our approach. Trump's tossing out ideas that look a little more centrist than we're used to hearing from him, and honestly, why not give it a look? Let's be real here. Our country has been through hell and back the last few years. What do we have to lose by seeing how some of these policies play out? Progressives don't have to love the guy. Hell, I don't. But if we can get something we've been fighting for, like legalization of marijuana, out of this administration, maybe that's a win worth taking. Now, as a gay progressive who's gay, in a relationship, running a nonprofit foundation literally dedicated to helping people in the LGBT community, Donald Trump's record on LGBT issues is a bit of a mixed bag. But there are some areas where he has shown more support than many other Republicans, particularly early in his presidency. For example, he was the first GOP president to acknowledge Pride Month publicly, which was a big deal at the time. Additionally, his campaign in 2016 has expressed support for the LGBT community by holding a rainbow flag at a rally, signaling that he wouldn't adhere to more hardline conservative stance that many have expected. And on issues like same-sex marriage, Trump has stated multiple times that he is okay with it, something that some LGBT voters appreciate as a major departure from traditional Republican views. He also indicated that he wouldn't roll back marriage equality during his time in office, which aligned with his more centrist take on the issue. Now, of course, this whole segment isn't trying to be like oh my god, Matty supports Trump. Well, that is unequivocally not true. But I think sometimes if we want to progress in the world and actually get forward, we should listen to both sides. And we should acknowledge some of the pros and cons and how that will ultimately affect us at the end. Well, it's time to buckle up because the political spectacle of the year is just around the corner. We're talking about the next presidential debate, where Kamala Harris is set to face off with none other than Donald Trump. We already know this is going to be fireworks, like a July 4th celebration of tension and political zingers. I'm going to break down how I think this debate is going to play out. And heads up, the debate will already be history by the time we meet again. So next week, I'll be diving into the aftermath, who won, who lost, and of course, what the mainstream media got wrong. All right, picture this. On one side, we've got Kamala Harris, the sitting vice president, who's taken the mantle of her party after Joe Biden's decision to step down, and she's got a lot riding on this debate. It's not just her candidacy, but the Democratic Party's hopes for keeping the White House. She's shown herself to be a strong debater in the past, but this will be her biggest test yet. On the other side, we got Trump, and love him or hate him, the guy knows how to command attention. He's a showman. But let's be real, his history with debating is chaotic. He's likely to go after Harris aggressively, in true Trump fashion. His base eats that up. But will that win over moderates or independents? That's the big question. Now, what will be the topics of the debate? Well, of course, first off, the economy. That's the number one issue voters care about right now. Harris will be walking a tightrope here, trying to paint the Biden administration's economic policies in a positive light, while distancing herself from any perceived failures. Trump will hammer her on inflation, on interest rates, and on gas prices. You name it. But the tricky part for him, proposing solutions. He'll have to do a lot more than just shout, "Make America Great Again" this time around. Another key issue will be immigration. Trump will lean hard into this build the wall rhetoric, but Harris will likely counter with a more compassionate approach, highlighting the Biden administration's policies on the DACA and immigration reform. The real question, though, is whether Harris can draw in a more moderate voter base who might be swayed by Trump's law and order approach. Now let's talk a little bit about style, because it's going to matter just as much as the substance. Harris will try to stay calm and collected. Think Obama, post-2008. She'll aim to avoid getting pulled into a slugfest, because let's face it, Trump thrives on chaos. He'll interrupt. He'll make inflammatory remarks, and he'll probably throw in a nickname or two. The key for Harris will be sticking to her points and not getting distracted by the sideshow. But here's where it could get wild. Trump's greatest strength and biggest weakness, he might drop a bombshell. Maybe something personal about Harris, or even another wild conspiracy theory. Harris, on the other hand, may take the opportunity to corner him on his legal battles. How Trump reacts to that could sway the undecideds in the audience. My gut, though, I think Harris will be on the defense for much of the debate, but she'll have her moments. If she can stay composed and get in a few strong hits without appearing too rehearsed, she'll do well. Trump, on the other hand, will aim for shock and awe. But whether that'll work this time is anyone's guess. He's up against a seasoned prosecutor in Harris, and she won't be easy to rattle. So how will this all shake out at the end of the day? Well, by the time you're hearing my next episode, the debate will be in the rearview mirror. I'll break down who came on top, what went wrong, and how it'll affect the race moving forward. Make sure to tune in for that breakdown because you won't want to miss it. You could always submit your 90-second voice note at speakpipe.com/MattyUnhinged, and I'd love to know your thoughts on the upcoming debate. We might just play it in the next show. There have been recent discussions about the possibility of Elon Musk playing a role in a future Trump administration if Donald Trump were to win in 2024. Trump has indicated that he would seek Musk's expertise, particularly in reducing government inefficiencies and advancing the U.S. artificial intelligence strategy. Musk has expressed interest in auditing federal agencies to cut waste and regulation, aligning with Trump's broader goals of deregulation and streamlined government. Musk is unlikely to join Trump's cabinet due to his existing commitments, but he may serve as a consultant. Trump envisions Musk contributing to government efficiency and AI advancements, particularly to keep the U.S. competitive against countries like China in the tech space. Musk's business acumen and success in areas like electric vehicles and space exploration are seen as a valuable asset to help reshape federal processes. And while some are excited about the potential for Musk to influence government operations, critics raise concerns about conflicts of interest, particularly given Musk's vast business ventures that interact with federal agencies. But nonetheless, Musk's political involvement marks a significant intersection between private enterprise and public governance, with far-reaching implications for U.S. federal operations. So it's time for Matty's point of view. Let's dive right into it, because the swing states are where this election is going to be decided. And of course, Pennsylvania, my home state, is at the heart of it all. The election season is hot. Hell, it already feels like a furnace out there. And how many days into the election, you ask? Well, let me do some quick math. But you know what? It doesn't even matter. All I know is it's not many. The tension is rising and the stakes are as high as ever. And yet, Here we are, so close to voting day, and what is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz doing? Well, they still haven't had any open press conferences, no interviews with independent media, no podcast, nothing. It's like they're dodging the heat. And that's a horrible look and something we should not stand for. Now listen, as a progressive, I'm cutting straight to the chase, honestly. I could no longer defend or support this campaign. I'm done. What we're seeing here is a train wreck waiting to leave the station. And I'm 90% sure that next week at the debates, we're going to witness a lot of people walking back their endorsements. Mark my words. And I don't say this lightly either. I donated to her campaign. Sure, it wasn't much, just $25. But still, I believed in this campaign. I put a bumper sticker on my Honda. My Honda, people. You know how much I love my Honda. It's a Honda Accord hybrid, by the way. I love that thing. It drives like a beaut. And by the way, if you're wondering, that sticker's gone now. And the car looks better without it. And so does my yard where the campaign sign used to be. But before you jump to conclusions, no, this does not mean I'm jumping on the Trump train. Hell no. But I'll say this, I can see why some people are at least taking a second look at what he's doing. He's stepping away from the hardcore Republican playbook that is continuing to lose him votes, and young voters especially, at alarming rates. And yeah, there are some things worth examining. Weed legalization at a federal level, it's on the table this time. Elon Musk getting a seat in his administration, wild, but happening. And I'd love to see it play out. Why the hell not? And no tax on tips? That's going to turn some heads in the service industry. Now, let's be real. Trump and LGBT rights, not his strong suit. But to everyone panicking about him taking away our rights, calm down. He's not doing that. In 2016, he had 4 years to mess with that. And guess what happened? Nothing. If anything, he doubled down on supporting gay marriage. People have short memories when they want to, but the facts are the facts. So yeah, this is where I'm at. Harris and Walz, you're losing me. And I have a feeling that by next week, when the dust settles after the debates, a whole lot of people will be in the same boat. Stay tuned, because next week we're breaking down those presidential debates. And until then, make sure you follow me over at social media. Go to MattyUnhinged.com and you can find a link to every single social media account that I own. And trust me, it's quite a bit. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciated it. I'm going with a different format for the show. I wanted to be a little bit more quicker, a little more concise. I know my stance on things have changed, so that might be a little difficult for some viewers, but I think you should remain with an open mind. That is very important with anything in life, and you should look into the facts, do the research. I know Trump has some demons in his closet. I've seen a lot of that, and I've talked about it on this show numerous times, and I'll continue to talk about it on this show numerous times. But we should also look at both sides. And what I see is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz's campaign falling down like dominoes. Well, is that a good line? I think that's a good line, but like dominoes. Let's go with that, right? Not Domino's Pizza. All right, I should probably get off the show before I talk a little bit too much, right? But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you want me to reconsider Kamala and Tim, come on my show. You know where to reach me. You can reach me over at politicalpalette@playzonemedia.com. Yeah, that's the show's email. And hey, if you're a sponsor or just a professional in the political industry, I'd love to talk to you. Go ahead, shoot me over that email, and we'll schedule an interview and have you on the show. But until next time, stay sharp, keep your eyes open and do not let your mind get deluded. See you